Christopher, hey bud. So today was mainly a digression from the pentatonic scales onwards into lots of different G space playing. And I talked about how if you took the E string and just played the major scale I taught you on the first day, called as extended, and then you subtracted the fourth note and the seventh note, you get a pentatonic. So the fourth note is an A. That borders the half step. 3 to 4 is our first half step. So there'll be no more half steps. G sharp now goes right to B. So you have this big wide gap, which is a 3-fret gap. That's called a third, the distance. And then you used to have D sharp to E, the 7 to 8, which is the other defining half step in the major scale. But we've cut out the D sharp. So now the C sharp goes all the way to the E, yet another third. G sharp to B, C sharp to E. That's a little theory takeaway from the pentatonic scale. But to play it in practical terms, you just do this. That's exactly the same as this. If I notated it like traditional notation, it would look the same. Okay, then we did A. Then I taught you about the B shift. That means because the guitar is tuned in fourths, but G to B is tuned in thirds, that's the anomaly. Because of that, every pattern that hits the B string goes 1 fret higher. Only on the B string you shift up. Although the corresponding strings after the B are affected in the same kind of way. So the D scale goes like this. To get that D octave, you need to shift up half a step. For the G scale, you just move your whole hand up when you get to B, so it's more comfortable. And then you pointed out that that's a cool scale, but feels a bit uncomfortable. So I showed you what I call the active scale. In my parlance, active is a way to articulate a scale that gives a hammer-on and a slide. So it has a lot of life to it. It's really fluid feeling and sounding. And then I pointed out that you could start doing double stops, which means melodies that use 2 notes simultaneously. Parallel thirds were like this. Very, very common and simple. If you shift your first finger to the high E string instead, you get parallel 6. I'm either muting the B string or just kind of avoiding it by going like this. Then converting back to thirds. Other cool things in the key of G are parallel 4, so take these two together. To bend the second note, the high A, half step for twang or whole step for sweetness. Sweet, twangy. You do a hammer off. Or trill. So all that space is just cool for improvising to tunes in the key of G. You could try 2 of us actually. And then we decided to take the scale 2 steps further because you could hear where we were heading with it. So it's major, just like the chord scale, major, minor, minor, major, major. Typically played like this. If you shift them up, now you're in the key of D. Much warmer sound. That's just to show that pattern can be moved around too, like most patterns. And then you discovered that 2 of us kind of had that sound. So it went. And I just listened to the recording, and in fact, it is an open E. So you can play it either way, but the open E is what they do on the record like this. But then I discovered that you can do the rest, that cool little bass line like this. Let's see, how do I want. You know what, I'm going to save that for next week. But I'm going to show you a few more notes in G, and then we can look at that little bass line. Okay, that's everything for today, and then continue to work on the stuff from last week. I Feel Fine, all those extended scales riffs, etc. See you, bud.